All right, and finally, we are joined by assistant coach Giles Barnes. Giles, back at home, have Houston coming into town. What kind of match do you expect against them?
Yeah, obviously it's fantastic to be back at home and play in front of our fans. Houston, they're a team that's gone under a lot of changes over the last year. They've got a new coach in Fabrice, so he's implemented his ideas. They're definitely a different team from what they were last year. Team with a little bit more structure and a more possession-based team. But as you know, in this league, there's no easy game, so we have to prepare correctly for them.
What else?
Just having a break after that Utah game coming into this week, how important was that just to get a little bit of rest and just mentally, physically for the players?
Yeah, I think anytime you can get that kind of rest within the season, it gives you a chance to reboot, recharge, take your mind off of football, and then you come back even fresher and more hungry. We know what our goal is come the end of the season, but it's nice to have that time away to then, as we say, refresh and get going again.
What have you kind of seen just from like the week off and kind of taken some time to look at some of the past couple games and maybe found some different points of focus for this team kind of heading into this week? Is there anything that you kind of seen that has been focusing?
Yeah, we prepared for Houston. Every team's different. We're coming against a lot of teams that are playing different this year than they played against us last year. So it's obviously we're always learning, always growing. So it's just about finding different ways to manipulate the opponent. But the players that have been in have been fantastic. It's obviously great today to welcome back the internationals as well. Going to represent your country is the biggest honor ever. So big congrats to those players that have been away. But we've been focused, we've been ready, and we're getting ourselves ready for Houston.
Kind of talking about the way the teams have been playing against you, how adaptable and on the fly do you kind of have to be in terms of games? Because, like you said, teams have been throwing things out at you that you haven't seen in any of their games previously. Just, how much kind of have you learned through this season so far of just how being adaptable on, changing things in the middle of games?
Yeah, I think that's the key word, being adaptable. We can look at the previous 2-3 games and then someone throws us a spanner, but we've got the players and we believe in our staff and what we're doing on the training ground to be able to deal with those situations. We might plan for a certain way, but we always have a backup plan. As you said, it's about being adaptable, and the players have been brilliant so far with doing that.
Seb's mentioned in the past couple games of just fine margins and small details. And how much have you kind of focused on that with the players and just working on with them in trainings and getting ready for games of just those small little things, knowing that they can make a big difference in games?
Yeah, it's margins. They say it's an inch that makes a game. Did it beat the player by an inch, or did we make that run in front of the post? Like those little things, is getting those nuances and getting them together. But as I said, it was fine margins. And, as soon as it clicks for us, I think it's going to open up the floodgates.
Just coming back home after being away for a bit, it feels like it's been a minute since you've been back at home, and then it's the last home game for a while now. But just how important is it to be able to play in front of your fans and have a game at home?
Yeah, touched on it earlier. There's no better place than being at home, especially with the fans turning up. And they're our 12th player. I know every player says it and every coach says it, but they truly are. And the numbers they've been turning out in this year has been fantastic. The excitement around the stadium now that there is there, and it's nothing short of what the girls deserve. And hopefully we're continuing to be able to put on a show for them that they deserve as well.
Thank you, Giles.